Good morning, social media friends, new connections. Welcome to our first episode of this series called Real Living in Milwaukee. Today, as part of your first experience, where my name is Bill, and my co host, who I will introduce you to in a few minutes, we're going to share with you content we believe can be valuable, will be interesting, and will be very real as it relates to your real living in Milwaukee. So, with that said, once again, my name is Bill. Let me invite my co host. Her name is Angela, and I'm going to give you a sneak peek to what she is all about. She is the new chairwoman for the board of directors for the Milwaukee Association of Realtors. So let's give her a big virtual round of applause and let's welcome Angela into the studio. Angela, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you for sharing your time with me, and thank you for co-hosting with me this first episode of many titled Real Living in Milwaukee.
Well, I'm excited to be here. I think Milwaukee is a great place. And so I'm happy to share all the wonderful information that I can.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let's lead off and kind of warm you up
Okay.
in this conversation. As we all see from this live stream, you're the chairwoman for the Milwaukee Association of Realtors. Can you share with us maybe your top two goals that you want to strive for and achieve going forward?
Yeah. So as the chairwoman, first of all, it's an honor to be in this position. The Greater Milwaukee Association of Realtors has been around longer than the National Association of Realtors. We celebrated 130 years
Wow.
just last year, which is awesome. And during that time period, I am the first African American woman to hold this position. So it's an honor for me. It's a historical achievement, and I'm very excited to be a part of it. And so,
Wonderful.
with that said, one of my goals for the organization was to increase diversity amongst our realtors and to help increase home ownership throughout the city, but especially for people of color. We see that, when we look at our population here in the city of Milwaukee, the number of realtors doesn't necessarily reflect. The number of diverse realtors doesn't necessarily reflect the number of people that are diverse in our community. So we really wanted to tackle that and try to make some changes. So that's been a big priority for me. And then in the real estate community as a whole, we're all struggling, like so many other parts of the country, with inventory and not having a lot to sell. So we are meeting with elected officials and developers and all sorts of people here in our local municipalities to try to come up with ways to add more housing to the mix so we all can benefit.
Wonderful. Um, with how you describe that, I share in at least one of those two goals with you, which is to empower more homeowners, especially first-time home buyers, in their dream of owning their own home,
Mhm.
especially minorities. And to that end, I can share this with you. You probably know about it, and that is in the market that we're working with right now, where inventory is scarce
Mhm.
at various price points. And let's state the obvious, the cost of borrowing money, unless you're paying cash,
Yes.
is running kind of at an all-time high.
Mhm.
I know for a fact in my market, certainly in the greater state of Wisconsin, the Milwaukee metro area, there's certainly the possibility of like third-party down payment assistance programs. So
Yes,
together, yeah, with what you're trying to do, with myself as a lender, we're focused on the same thing.
absolutely.
Yeah. Let's now move the conversation to this. While you have taken on that leadership role amongst your association of peers, I think I know this, you are still very much an active real estate broker selling and buying real estate, correct?
That is correct. And as a matter of fact, I am a real estate broker and I own Walters Realty Group. There are 8 agents and one admin person on my team.
Wonderful, wonderful. What are you seeing in the market that you and your team are actively selling and buying real estate in right now?
Yeah, so we're definitely feeling the pinch like so many others with a decrease in the number of sales.
Okay.
And, last year the numbers were really high, the last couple of years, as a matter of fact. We had record breaking numbers with regard to sales.
Okay.
And when the interest rates increased, as they did so suddenly, that changed the landscape a bit. And so we're all trying to get more sales like many other people. We've got buyers lined up and we're trying to find homes for those buyers. The good thing is that we've seen listings increase here in the last 2 months,
Oh,
which
wow.
is great.
Good.
Great news, although there were some corporate buyers that, they had purchased a lot of properties in our area, and they decided to put a bunch of them on the market at one time. So the good thing is there's more to choose from. The bad thing is it's kind of setting the price and it's causing the prices to go up.
Okay.
And so we've seen just in the city of Milwaukee, prices have increased about 5 to 6% higher this year than they were last year.
Yeah.
And we're just continuing to see them rise higher and higher, which can be a challenge for buyers.
True. It can be a challenge for buyers, but um, I'll share this with you, Angela, and it seemed like you touched upon it. I think both of our surprise, there is still buyer demand stronger than
Oh, yeah.
I expected. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, absolutely, especially in homes in this area priced under 500,000.
Yeah.
Our average sale price in the city of Milwaukee is maybe about 250, 270, and then but in our metro Milwaukee area, it's closer to 350 price range
Right.
is our average. So anything under 500,000, there's a huge buyer demand.
Yeah.
So I keep telling anybody that I know who wants to sell, this is ideal for them, right?
Right.
Normally, if the interest rates had increased, and we would normally see less buyers and the market would begin to shift to more a buyer's market.
Right.
But because of the inventory shortage, it's still a seller's market. So those people that didn't sell last year or the year before, now is their opportunity to cash in and walk away with more money. So anybody thinking about selling, now's the time.
Yeah. Hey, ladies, gentlemen, audience members, you heard it straight from Angela, and I certainly won't disagree with her. If you are a seller
Yeah.
that has a life event where you have a compelling reason to sell, it's a great time because
Yeah.
you have less competition and you stand to gain top dollar, net bigger proceeds than maybe you can imagine.
Absolutely.
Now, as part of helping your sellers, Angela, make that decision,
Yeah.
work through that life event of selling, and then of course moving to whatever their next chapter is.
Yeah.
I know when we spoke, several weeks back, as part of preparing for today, one of the things that you shared with me was you were a big believer in the strategy of staging a home. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So I think staging is very important. And, in this market where it is a seller's market, some sellers feel like they don't have to do anything, right? There's so many buyers. I can just sell my house as is. But I would say the buyers today are very savvy. They're very smart. I
Yeah.
always like to laugh and say that HGTV educated them even more, right? So everybody wants that beautiful home that's fixed up, and then people's lives are very busy.
Right.
And so, what staging does is it allows the seller of that home to really position the home in the best light possible so that it appeals to more people. Many times, when you're living in the house, you have it set up for you. It's very
Yes.
personal, right?
Right.
And we all know the importance of decluttering and depersonalizing. Staging allows that buyer to come in and visualize what it would be like for them to live in the house.
True.
And so it gives the first impression. That's another thing I want to say. That first impression is so powerful. And when we stage a home, and we get our professional photographer out there to take photos, now that home looks updated and modern, and it's appealing to more buyers when they're searching online for
Right.
homes
Right.
compared to a home that may be decorated according to the owner's style.
Right.
And so you're already given a wonderful first impression. The buyers are going to want to see the house now in person. And when they come in person, they're going to get that feel. They're going to appeal to their senses, the emotional aspect of a beautifully decorated home. And that's what we want, because ultimately it's going to help that home to sell faster. So it's going to stay on the market less time
Right.
and net the seller more money. It's been proven that you get more money and less time on the market when you stage a property.
Yeah. Especially when I've seen this within the past 3 years,
Mhm.
especially when a seller may be moving from the current home in Milwaukee because of a job relocation,
Yes.
an executive relocation where their employer, who is providing their household source of income, is saying, Mr. John Doe, we need you to be here by this date. And so they make that move, and all of a sudden, the home that they've discussed with you to sell is empty. That's
Mhm.
where staging becomes important as well, right?
Absolutely. I would say even more so for an empty home.
Yeah.
If you think about it, I always like to use the example of new construction.
Yep.
When there's a brand new, newly built home and everything is new, the walls are new, the floors are new, the kitchen, the countertops, when they are showing that home, they will still stage it because
Yeah.
they know that purchasing a home is an emotional decision and they want to appeal to people's senses. They want to give them a sense of warmth, a sense of home.
Yeah.
That's what you really want.
You
And
do.
that's what that staging does. It gives them a sense of home. And if someone's relocating and they pack up all their stuff, now all of a sudden there's an echo in the house. And buyers notice a lot of little things too when a house is vacant that they
Right.
wouldn't notice if it was staged.
Right.
They notice the baseboards are all scuffed up. And
Yes.
now the trim around the door, and they're noticing little dings and nicks. And I'm not saying you shouldn't fix those things, but when there's nothing else to look at, you're going to see those things.
Sure.
The other thing is a lot of times buyers have a hard time figuring out how to place their furniture and how they're going to live in the house.
Yeah.
And so having it staged kind of takes that guesswork out of it for them. They then begin to see the possibilities of how I can position my furniture and make that space work for me, or give them some creative uses for the space.
Yeah.
As well, there's an empty room. I have a seller who has an extra room off of the garage. And, when it's vacant, people would be like, what's that? What
Yeah.
is that room for? But all of a sudden, you stage it as an office. Oh, it's an office. It could be a homework room for the kids if
Right.
they need to work, do some homework. It could be a social media room or a video room if someone's doing YouTube, if they're doing, a podcast, right?
Right.
And you need a place that's quiet away from the family. So it could be all sorts of things. And that's where staging comes in to help bring that out.
Yeah. Um, I've had some clients, Angela, and I'm gonna describe this and maybe get your feedback to it. I've had some clients, as a matter of fact, I've had one of my family members do this with their move within the recent 2 to 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
They sold everything and made their move to their next chapter.
Yeah.
And one client, even upon seeing a home that was staged, Angela, you're going to laugh here. Maybe this has happened to you. This client of mine literally said, I like this home, but here's the thing. I like this home with all of the furniture that I see. So can I buy everything? Has that ever happened to you?
That has happened to me. I flip homes also.
Wow.
And so we had this home. It was so lovely. And I had taken some items out of my own personal home
Okay.
to go over to that property to stage it.
Yeah.
And one of the things I had was this tall, beautiful mirror with a stand. And this home had a very big master bedroom, so I wanted to fill up the space. So I had this beautiful mirror with every intention on bringing that back to my house. Well, that was written into the offer. The
Wow.
buyers wanted that mirror.
Yeah.
Well, of course, they were giving me a phenomenal price for the house. It was over asking. So I had to part with the mirror.
Yeah.
Now, in that case, it was my own personal property. A
Right.
lot of times we use a separate staging company to
Right.
stage properties.
Okay.
They have a relationship with our firm, but they have their own inventory.
Right.
So if someone wants a house and the seller has used a separate staging company, then it's going to be a matter of having a conversation with that stager to
Sure.
see if they're willing to part with that furniture.
Sure.
Now, I did have a situation where the buyer wanted the furniture and the stager would not part with it
Oh,
because she had gotten some things on some really great deals
right.
and discounts, and she had been shopping around at rummage sales, and she's like,
Right.
if I had to replace these things, it would cost me way more money today
Okay.
to replace it than what it did when I originally got it. So she wasn't willing to part with it. But we can work through those things. That's why you have a great, wonderful realtor representing you. We're going to get that deal closed. And if the furniture is the make it or break it factor, we're going to make that happen.
We'll figure a way, right?
We'll figure a way.
We'll
That's
figure
part
a
of
way.
the creativity and creating those win-win situations that we like to do with our clients where everybody walks away happy.
Right on, right on. So audience members, you heard it from Angela. When it comes to maybe your concern about selling your home and you're concerned that you've got to move all of your stuff out because you're making your move to that next chapter faster than you can prepare to sell it, Angela has a solution for you. She has people that can help you stage the home to the vision that someone else will love. As we wrap up our first episode today, in our conversation today, Angela, let me ask you this question. Put you in the hot seat. Why Milwaukee first for you? But answer that question with why Milwaukee for someone else. I'm going to paint this picture who may be relocating to Milwaukee for the reasons of a new career opportunity. Maybe they're moving to Milwaukee for family reasons. I see that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So can you speak to that question first from your perspective and then maybe a larger perspective?
Yeah, well, I think that Milwaukee is a great place to live. I'm originally from Chicago,
Yes.
and my dad's job transferred him up here. So that's how we got to Milwaukee.
There you go.
And I've been converted.
Okay.
One of the first things I noticed years back when I came was the traffic difference in Chicago with the traffic and the rush hour and the long commutes. Coming to Milwaukee is like a breeze compared to that.
True.
And although it's gotten more activity over the years, it still does not compare to many metropolitan areas. For here, depending on where you're located, you can get anywhere within 15, 30 minutes max. I
Right.
can literally go from one part of town to another part of town in 30 minutes. And so if you're looking for that short commute, then Milwaukee's definitely a great place for you.
Great.
The other thing is there's so much to do during the summer months. I mean, I like to say we're a great place on a great lake. So, we share Lake Michigan with the
We
wonderful
do.
city of Chicago. And so you can still enjoy beaches and waterfront and all the fun activities that occur along the lakefront here. You don't have to go down to to Florida to have beaches. You can do it right here in the Midwest. And then we are the home to the largest music festival in the world, which is Summerfest.
Yes.
And there's so much to do in the summer. It is fabulous. We have one festival after another. And for those who don't know, Milwaukee is, cheese, dairy state, that kind of stuff. We have frozen custard, which is delicious.
Right.
You gotta have custard when you come here from Cops, from Kits, from Leon's. I think Leon's was in Happy Days back with Fonzie. So
Yeah.
anybody who is old enough to know that show.
Right.
So we've got wonderful custard. We've got Culver's here. So if you haven't had it, it's way better than ice cream. Both delicious, but custard is fabulous. So there's so many wonderful reasons. And I must say, given that I'm in the real estate industry, it's one of the most affordable places to live in the country, which
Yeah.
is one of the reasons why people come here all the time. People are even investing from other parts of the country, from other countries outside of the US decide to invest in the Milwaukee area because housing is so much more affordable.
Yeah. You nailed it right on the head. And when we first met, yes, I remember you shared with me that you're originally from Chicago. You still have family in the
Yeah.
greater Chicago area. And just kind of like your life story, you and I, in the business that we're in, we do see movement, right? We do see
Mhm.
movement of households, families
Yeah.
into Milwaukee for the reasons of a new career opportunity where
Mhm.
they're making more money. It's a
Yeah.
promotion.
Yeah.
Or they're moving back. I hear that a lot right now.
Oh,
Yeah, they're moving back because they need to be closer to their family network, their network of friends,
yeah.
as part of the overall support. So I completely agree with you. If I might add one more thing, I know this and you know this. There's probably a lot of Chicagoans, Illinoisans that are choosing to quote unquote live in Milwaukee, and they either remote work, hybrid work, or commute to Chicago, right?
Yes, yes. I am definitely aware of that. And the train ride, it's a direct shot
Yeah.
from Milwaukee to Chicago. So that makes it very convenient. I
Yeah.
forgot about one other great feature of Milwaukee.
Okay.
That's the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yes.
And Giannis, we've got the Bucks. They are doing a fabulous job. We got a wonderful new stadium, which is the Fiserv Forum.
Yeah.
So coming out to these Bucks games. Matter of fact, I'm going to one in 2 weeks. The Bucks versus Atlanta. Hopefully, we're going to win. But sports, if you're interested in Green Bay Packers, we're up the street. An hour and a half from Green Bay, hour and 15 minutes. But Green Bay Packers are here, Milwaukee Brewers. We've got college sports, all sorts of stuff. But if you want to see Giannis at Chick-fil-A drive-through, you need to move on to Milwaukee.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. As we wrap up our first episode, and we hope we have entertained you today, we have shared with you some content of value, perhaps in your next chapter of perhaps considering moving to Milwaukee. And by the way, I'm going to do a quick shout out here. If you happen, audience members, to work for any of the top 5 employers in the Milwaukee metro area, greater Milwaukee area, and that would include Aurora Healthcare, Harley-Davidson, the school systems, Marquette. If you work for any one of these top 5 employers and you are thinking about selling your home, Angela here is ready, willing, and capable of helping you. If you are moving into Milwaukee for those 2, maybe more reasons that Angela and I shared with you, again, Angela and her team can certainly help you in your purchase, giving you that concierge service. So as we wrap up, how can you get in touch with us? When and if you need to start a conversation with both of us or one of us, it's really simple. As you see here, as we wrap up today's episode, all you need to do is simply scan the QR code. Angela and or myself will be ready, willing, and able to start that conversation with you to talk about your next life event. That's it for today, audience members, ladies and gentlemen. Until we see each other in the next episode, which will drop, you'll see Angela and myself again in about 4 weeks from today. So as we wrap up, Angela, thank you for sharing your time. I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.